Well, good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be here today. And I have to say, in my long career, I won't tell you how long, but it's been long. I won't tell you exactly the number of years I've been in this business, but in my very long career, and I've been in many different schools around the country, I have never had an ambassador this tall lead me to the place where I was supposed to go. Not only did I have a little ambassador, I got a tour of the building as I walked along the halls, and I noticed that she greeted the teachers along the way, and I saw artwork that was appropriately at eye level, and I saw many, many signs of, frankly, just love and respect among the teachers and the children. So I don't think we need to measure school climate here. We just need to figure out how to package it and share it with the rest of the country. I don't know what you're doing, but it's amazing because you can just sense that there is a very positive feeling here in terms of how you are going about the business of educating young children. So, child assessment is the topic for today, and I think it's a topic that many of us are really familiar with. Beginning with going back to our earliest days as children. We all have experienced assessment. We remember preparing for those quizzes and pop quizzes, feeling stressed about assessment, even going into our college years and pulling all-nighters, for final exams. I have to admit I never did that. I wasn't really good at functioning with no sleep. But I have many friends who did that. And now in our professional lives, we are, of course, familiar with assessment, but we're on the other side of it now, right? We're no longer the ones taking the tests and the assessments. We're the ones who are giving them and using the information for a variety of purposes. So I do think there's a valid reason for taking a fresh look at this topic. So I hope that you will do that with me today as we explore this topic, maybe through fresh eyes. One reason to take a fresh look at it is it's been receiving a lot of national attention lately. Have you noticed that? Let me give you a couple of examples. One is the expansion of school-based public pre-K programs in this country. And I don't know the exact number of states, but the vast majority of states now have some state-funded pre-K program, public pre-K program that they offer to children. Some are universal, but I think most are targeted pre-K programs. Along with the expansion of public pre-K comes the need to evaluate how those programs are working, right? And so, of course, in the evaluation efforts, one of the things that states rely on most is child assessments. So that's one example. So as we're seeing the move toward adopting pre-K, we're also seeing the corresponding need to evaluate how programs are doing. Another example, the kindergarten entry assessments. How many of you have heard of that or been involved in that topic? There's a huge interest right now. There's a frenzy, actually, of activity among states in terms of figuring out the best way to assess young children as they enter kindergarten, to measure their progress and outcomes, and hopefully whatever tools they use will be aligned with learning standards, and they will be appropriate, age appropriate for children of that age group. Another example, the QRIS, the Quality Rating Improvement Systems. Most states are involved in one way or another in creating these quality frameworks that both define quality and help us measure it. And as states have been working on their QRIS systems, increasingly what they're trying to do is to link their QRIS systems with child outcomes. Why are they doing that? Because they're trying to validate their QRIS systems, their frameworks, and making sure that however they're defining quality in some way is linked to how children are doing. It's been a challenge, and so far the studies that have been done are not finding really good connections. So that means that we have to go back to the drawing board and maybe think about the way we're measuring quality. A recent study found great variability across states in child assessments and across a number of dimensions in terms of what measures states are using. They're using a variety of measures, They're using them for different purposes. There's variety in terms of how much choice states are allowing practitioners to have in choosing whatever measures they want to use. Some states mandated, others allow practitioners to choose, others have, make the school districts or the programs select the measures. And there's variety in terms of the frequency of those assessments. I think it ranges from 1 time a year to as many as 5 or 6 times a year. So we don't really have a consistent way of thinking about assessment in the early childhood years in this country at this time. Also, child assessment is not without its controversies. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the very present debate that we've had in this country about the assessment within No Child Left Behind, right? That's been an ongoing debate about how the frequency of assessment, the kinds of assessment that is being conducted, and how the assessments are being used in high-stakes testing. By the way, did you know that that piece of legislation is it's being reauthorized? We actually, the Congress actually agreed on something. They agreed that they want to throw No Child Left Behind out, and they're not throwing everything out, but they are, it's got a new name. Every Student Succeeds Act, right? Some of you know this. It's actually, the bill has passed in both the Senate and the House, and it's on the president's desk, and he's expected to sign it. So we're going to get a new bill. Now this child assessment is a part of this bill, but I think there are going to be some huge changes as I've read about this. One is that the states are going to have much more control in determining what kinds of assessments are used for what purposes. And so they're going to be much more involved than they were in the past. We'll see how it all works out, right? It wasn't working so great before. Will it work better when the states have more control? We'll see. Stay tuned. At the same time, child assessment is really important in early education. It ensures that, it helps to ensure, it doesn't totally do this on its own, but it helps to ensure that students receive the appropriate level of instruction and intervention if they need it. And it provides access to necessary services and supports if children meet eligibility criteria. And it helps us measure our programs and determine if they're effective or not. But at the same time, the assessment process really has to take into account the purpose for gathering information. We don't just assess children for the sake of assessing children, right? There's a lot of assessment going on, and sometimes it's not clear, at least in the minds of practitioners, why they're gathering the information. Maybe they haven't been told, or maybe they just don't understand, but there's a lot of assessment gathering going on without a clear understanding of how that information will be used. I think there's a real concern that the tools be valid and appropriate for the age of the children being assessed. And we need to think about the broader context for assessment. And I think there are at least 3 contexts we should think about. First is the policy one. I've already mentioned assessments being used to make decisions about funding programs. Then there's the education context. And in that context, assessments being used by teachers primarily to inform instructional decision making. And then there's the research context, which that's where I live, in that research context. And here, child assessment is used to advance knowledge and understanding about evidence-based practice, which of course is related to the other 2 contexts, right? Policy and practice.